Hello, and welcome to my shop. Today we're going to be making the Witcher Medallion. I just finished the Witcher series on Netflix. It was a phenomenal series. I do admit it was quite confusing in the beginning, and I really had no idea what was going on until like the third episode. And at that point in the third episode, I decided to turn on the subtitles, which helped immensely. It was a wonderful series. The props and costumes in the series were absolutely phenomenal, and I am very excited to make a lot of that stuff. And I have a lot of projects dedicated to making stuff from the Netflix Witcher universe. So be sure to check those out when those videos hit. The next 2-3 videos will probably be about The Witcher. So without further ado, let's make the medallion. Alright, I just pulled the medallion off of the printer and it looks pretty good. Very pleased with how this came out. I'm just gonna take off the supports, clean it up, and then let it cure in the sun for a bit before I make a mold and cast it. So this actually turned out pretty well. I'm very happy about the way it turned out. Now all I have to do is just sand off some of these support material right here. But first I'm going to put it outside to let it cure. And then I will make a mold and I will cast it out of a different material. Now with this being the master copy, you kind of want it to be as perfect as possible because silicone will capture any little detail that is on the actual master copy, including this little crack right here, if you guys can see that. Now that was me accidentally tearing off support with my hands. Took out a good chunk more than what I actually initially planned for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up bondoing that portion. That way it doesn't show up in the actual cast of it. But other than that, I got the supports cleaned up. You can barely see any sign of it. There's just 1 or 2 little other divots that I'll bondo that are super tiny right here. And other than that, looks pretty good. Now with Bondo, it's generally good to apply more of a layer on top of the thing you're trying to fill. That way when you actually sand it down, it kind of flushes it out instead of actually applying just enough and only being able to sand. Essentially you're sanding down and it doesn't actually flush out, and then you'll have to add more. Bondo is super easy to sand, so if you guys are working with this stuff, use plenty of it. Alright, going to let this fully dry, and then I'll come back and sand it and get it ready for the mold making process. Alright, the Bondo has it's been about 15 to 20 minutes. The Bondo is dried. I'm going to sand off the Bondo. I'm going to do a little bit of sanding of the face of the wolf, just to reduce some of the layer lines that have appeared on the wolf to make it look flush. And then once I do that, I'm going to prep it for the mold and then make the mold. I'm very excited for this piece. This is going to look very good. And as you can see right here, that is perfectly filled.
A great success!
Now this might look very scuffed up and very, you know, not that great as before, but what I've learned throughout the years of making props is you have to make something look worse before it looks better. And that's the motto I live by. After the coat of primer, this thing is going to look absolutely beautiful, and I'm very excited to get to that. So let's get to it. Look at that. That turned out absolutely phenomenally. I am very excited to make a mold out of this. One of the issues I will encounter is when I do actually cast the part, this portion right here will probably be the hardest to pour in the resin. And it's gonna probably take a steady hand and some patience to actually get resin to fill the crevasse of that portion right there. But I am very excited about how this turned out. Let's get started. Now normally I would be using an X-Acto knife because they're sharp as hell. But I seem to have lost all the blades to my X-Acto knife when I moved workshops about a couple months ago. Which is not good because those things are like surgical scalpels. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they went. Whoopsies. I should have probably started warming up my hot glue gun about 20 minutes ago. Not the prettiest mold, but I 100% guarantee you it will work absolutely beautifully. So it takes about 6 hours for this particular silicone to cure. What I'll do is I'll come back tomorrow and I will take off the walls and then cast it in the material of my choice. Now, if you're making a mold yourself and you find that your walls are not sturdy or leaking, what you can always do is take a piece of clay and then clay up the sides if necessary. I find that a very effective way of saving your day and a lot of money. Alright, it's going to set this for 6 hours. I'm going to come back tomorrow, let it cure overnight. I like to let it sit for a lot longer than it should, just so it doesn't under-cure, or that when I try to pull it out, it just falls apart on me and breaks. Yeah, so I will see you all tomorrow.
6.5 hours later.
I think it's done. Now I describe this as almost like opening a gift on Christmas morning. You don't exactly know what you're gonna get because sometimes it messes up a lot. But it is pretty exciting when you do receive what you do want. Clean it up a bit. Alright, so as you can see here, I got some little leakage underneath around the edges. Pretty typical. All you have to do is just really remove it very carefully without actually removing part of the mold. Or you can just leave it on there. Either way works. Kind of really wish I had that X-Acto knife for where they were. But yeah, turned out pretty well. Decided to cast something with it. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, I was very worried about the very skinny portion on the left side right here, which is why I brought the pipette out. But seemingly to my surprise, it actually filled all in quite well. I'm excited to pull this out, clean off the debris, and then get some pig iron casting in. Alright, so the cure time on this is usually about 10 minutes. But if you pull it out at 10 minutes, it's usually very flimsy and it hasn't fully cured yet. So what I'm going to do is wait maybe 20 to 30 minutes, just because I'm very worried about the side being so flimsy. So I'm going to wait and then make sure it's fully cured, make sure it's not hot to the touch, and then I'm going to pull out, and then I'm going to do the official real casting. Alright, just pulled this out. This looks great. Since this is the first cast, what I'm going to do is end up blasting this with a primer coat, and then go ahead and spray painting it silver and then weathering it, just to see how it turns out versus the pig iron I'm about to do. Turned out pretty good though. Very excited. So I ended up scrapping the medallion that I casted out of pig iron. I might end up doing it again in the future, but it didn't quite turn out the way I wanted. And I actually didn't follow my own advice earlier, and I pulled it out of the mold way too soon. And the skinny portion never fully cured correctly, and it just got completely messed up. I did indeed weather it, which you will see later in the video. Alright, it's been a couple days. I ordered all the stuff I needed to finish up the medallion on Amazon. Ordered like 3 or 4 chains and about 2 to 3 little widget pieces that go on the attachment portion. So for the chain, and it looks, according to the screenshots from the medallion, it looks pretty accurate. I'm pretty happy with this particular one. And then for the attachment piece, which I believe is called a pinch bail in the craft world, I ordered this piece right here, which isn't actually entirely accurate. I searched for like an hour or two and I still couldn't find what I needed. If anybody watching my videos has this particular one, please let me know where I could find it. I'd love to order it. Try to go for accurate as possible, but for now, Like I said, I ordered about 2 or 3 different sizes of this, and this seems to be the best one. Here we have it. The final product. I think it actually turned out pretty well, all things considered. At the moment, I am going to be putting this on my Etsy store. Link is down in the description. I highly encourage you to get the unfinished version. You can follow along with the steps I do. If you have any other questions, you can message me either on my Etsy account or on YouTube. Comment down below if you have any other questions. But yes, I want to encourage people to do a lot of it themselves, especially if you have access to even the most basic equipment. It's not really, a lot of the stuff isn't very hard to do. Plus the unfinished version is a lot cheaper because I don't have to do any work. But yeah, highly, if you really want to start getting into like making your own cosplay stuff, I highly recommend you get the unfinished version. Like I said, it'll just come in plain black. It'll need the primering, it'll need sanding, it'll need everything. But it's a good start for people to like explore the world of making their own stuff if they're very shy and afraid and don't want to spend hundreds of dollars into like the equipment necessary. You really, all this you really need is just some primer, spray paint, and some black acrylic paint, and you can make this yourself for under, you know, just with the supplies itself, under 10 bucks. But yeah, it's a great way to explore and really look into it if you are interested in doing some of the stuff yourself. I really want to start getting away from like painting a lot of my stuff and sending it out on my Etsy store because it's really time consuming, and I really would love to work on other projects and encourage people to paint and become a maker themselves. Turned out pretty good. Look at this. This is exciting. Turned out really, really well actually. I'm actually genuinely quite surprised. And there we have it. I hope you guys liked the video today. I put a lot of work and effort into this video. It is my first YouTube video up, so some of the things might be a little cringe-worthy. I genuinely don't know. But if you could please consider subscribing, that would help immensely. And I would love to see you all in the next video, which should be happening within the next few coming weeks, where I will be making both Witcher swords. Please consider subscribing, and thank you for watching.